Hello and welcome to Illuminations with Tiina and Fee, for you who desires a life of abundance. I'm Tiina, and today is a guest episode on authenticity, which is really, really exciting. And with me, I've got Sharron Davis. And Sharron, I'm going to read it from here so that I don't get it wrong. Sharron is a writer and a truth seeker. And a lifelong lover of fashion and a recovering fast fashion addict, which also sparked my interest. Welcome, Sharron.
Hi, Tiina.
It's brilliant to have you here. And I really want to start with a question about what does it mean to be a truth seeker?
Okay, so I guess if I go back in my 20s, I had an eating disorder, and eating disorders or any kind of addiction, I think, quite often thrives in you hide. So you hide everything. So although I seemed quite confident, I hid this dark secret. And so I suppose when I decided that I couldn't do this anymore, I just found that the only way I could tackle it was to be truthful and to continue to search for my own truth. And I guess what I found is that it's a bit like scuba diving. So scuba diving, when I learned to scuba dive, I was terrible, really, really bad. And so you go shallow and all you want to do is keep standing up again because you can, right? And the lower you go, the more calm you get, and then you get more calm. So the more truthful you become with yourself and with others, I find that life becomes easier. And so, yeah, I think it was just it was a way to make my life more simple and to recover, as I say, from that addiction.
Yeah, okay. So clearly a truth seeker and living your truth, that's kind of being authentic to yourself.
Yeah, and also sort of modeling that for others as well. I think sometimes I am one of those people that will ask the hard questions or do the thing, say the thing, point at the thing that and sometimes, it either sort of triggers panic because people are like, I can't believe you just said that. Or sometimes, it triggers comfort because people are relieved. Well, at least someone said that. I guess I just don't, if something is, then pretending it's not, I have no idea why that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So you're quite open about challenging things that you hear or see.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Yes. So in kind of thinking about authenticity and living authentically, I mean, you've touched upon this already, but what are the gains of living fully authentically, like true to yourself? And what could the potential losses be, or are there any losses to that kind of life?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, both. But ultimately, I guess it's always a short-term loss that you're risking. Yeah. So it's hard in the moment. It can be really hard in the moment. So, for example, I was brought up in a really small town, and in this town, it was very much don't stick out, it was very sort of, don't put your hand up in class, don't just sort of stay below. And I found that quite hard. I mean, I did put my hands up in class because if nobody puts their hands up, so what's going to happen? I suppose I was never that interested in not doing the thing that you were there to do. I mean, I guess I like to make the most of every situation. So I moved away from that town, not soon enough, I did. And I went back about 10 years ago, and I went out with a group of friends, people I knew, that I hadn't seen for some time. And you have the catch up, how you doing, what you up to, and what I was up to was I was just about to quit my corporate job, go traveling with my new boyfriend, and write a novel. And that was my life. That was what I was doing, you know. And I was coming up to 40, so you know, it had taken me a long time to get to that point. And in the evening it was fine, and we had the conversations, and you know, we were sort of in a big group and meeting other people, and the next day someone who I would have considered to be one of my closest friends pulled me to one side, and she said, and I quote, you need to be careful what you talk about, because some people think you have ideas above your station.
Wow.
Wow. I know, it's giving me goosebumps just saying it again and actually sharing it with you, because I was like, I'm not making this up. This is my life. This is where I've come to. This is the result of the choices that I've made. I'm not. So Brené Brown says, and I think it's really true, don't puff up and don't shrink. And I was doing neither. You know, I was just standing in my truth. Was I supposed to pretend that I was? I don't know. I don't know what they wanted me to say. So anyway, so yeah, and actually that was hard, and that friendship became hard, and you know, that there was a lot of pain with that, but there's no choice really.
No, exactly.
You have to live your truth.
No, but I think I guess at that point when somebody says to you or us or me or whatever, like, you know, you better be careful what you say and whatever, that either becomes fuel, you know, like, hey, what? Or actually that is when we start shrinking, going, oh my gosh, you know, I will not speak my truth anymore. And I guess it can go both ways. And I hope that everybody kind of goes, that it becomes fuel, but I can see how people would get scared at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, it's constant. To be fair, for me, you know, I work. You know, I still have a job, but freelance, doing the thing I gave up. But I only have to do it, not very often. And I'm still writing. So I did write that novel. I did read as she married him. I also married the boyfriend. But yeah, I wrote the novel. I did the traveling. I wrote the novel. I came back and I moved somewhere I love. And yeah, and now I'm still writing, and I'm still doing that work, but you know, on my terms. And so yeah, I mean, what do you do? I mean, there is I don't push it in people's faces, but you know, if people ask me questions, I don't pretend my life is different than it is, because I just think, well, what's the point in that for me, but also what's the point in that for other people? Because I think sometimes you need things modeled. Do you know what I mean? You know, and so that's how I feel. I feel it's better to, you know, to shine, I guess, because that's the result of what I've done. But you know, I spent 25 years working in IT. So you know, and also in those cases, you know, asking the hard questions, doing all the same things that have now allowed me to do what I do freelance. So you know, there was, you know, I've paid my dues, I guess. Like, it's not magic. Just doing the right thing at the right time, making mistakes and getting back up again.
Exactly, absolutely. But it seems like you talked about the school years already, that you are prepared to put your hand up and ask questions, even though that was not the done thing. So somehow it sounds like this kind of courage to do things your own way were kind of with you from the start.
Yeah, do you know what? So I was actually brought up in a pub.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's only been recently that I think that was a particular gift, in as much as adults in a pub environment are much more like children.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know, the alcohol removes layers. Like, I guess culturally, you know, I was brought up in a village pub and everyone came together and everyone was the same. I suppose I've never really, my dad was in charge, but not really in charge, if you know what I mean. He was sort of like the ringmaster, I guess. And I suppose that was modelled for me. And so, yeah, it is a strange thing that I used to, when I was a child, I told the lady, I mean, there's stories of me as a child telling people things. Like, I told the lady behind the bank counter that she wasn't supposed to be accepting our banknotes because they'd gone out of date, which is not helpful. But you know, that kind of thing, and yeah, loads of little stories like that. I wrote an essay once, and I said I had a forest in my back garden, and the teacher said, "Oh, it's not a forest. You don't, you know, it's a." I don't know, was it a wood? I can't remember the terminology. Anyway, she says you don't, and I was like, I do. And so we made this agreement that I would take my dad and count the number of trees, and if it was more than, I think it was 40, that I wouldn't have to, because she wanted me to change it in my essay, and I wouldn't, because I'm like, no, I do have a forest. So I went and counted the trees and got my dad to write me a note, and I took it back into school the next day so I didn't have to change my work.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a real self-confidence as a child, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So Sharron, tell me about the connection between being true to yourself, authentic, and fashion.
Yeah, so again, I think that's a really interesting one. I think sometimes fashion can be seen as a bit of a sort of frivolous thing, and I guess there's also a link with me because, like I say, I had an eating disorder, and as you said in the introduction, I am a recovering fast fashion addict. So they're both basic necessities. And somehow we take food more seriously. I mean, if you look at programs on the television, you know, or you know, look at chefs, there seems to be this sort of thing where we take, you know, making our food really seriously. And I just think fashion is seen as a bit more frivolous. And I went to a style workshop recently, and at the start, the lovely lady that ran it, she said, everyone shut their eyes and think about what you're wearing and think about whether it represents you. And so I shut my eyes anyway, and I thought, well, I don't need to do this. We're at a style workshop. I thought about what I was going to wear. I wanted to represent me, be appropriate. Like I knew what to wear. It was actually this dress, because this is one of my favourite things. Anyway, and then people opened their eyes and started telling her why what they were wearing didn't represent them. And some of them were quite sad about it. And so, and you know, obviously that's why she's doing what she's doing. She's trying to help people sort of live that truth. And for me, I just think it's so much what you are outwardly. Like, people, for me, it's shining outside from inside out, if you see what I mean. And I think when that happens, you're more confident, you know, people will speak. Amazing things have happened to me because of what I was wearing, you know, because people can't always see like the you inside without having a full-on conversation. But if you're wearing something that, I don't know, that piques people's interest, I don't know, I think there's magic that happens there. And I think, you know, my addiction, I just wanted more of it, more and more and more and more. And now I've realised, like the food, that actually less is more. And, you know, actually, if you dilute it, you end up with too many things. And, you know, I also have a really strong belief in trying to sort of do what we can to save the planet. And I think when you're doing something that's like I was damaging myself with my eating disorder, if you're damaging the planet because people are making clothes in terrible conditions and forests are being destroyed. I mean, it really is, you know, fashion is a massive issue. I think there's something that doesn't quite sit. So once I've now aligned, so now I basically sew sequins on anything that moves. I've sort of spent time making sure that all my clothes fit me. So that I'm not hiding, so that I'm just, you know, so that they're sort of my authentic self, and getting rid of anything that doesn't suit me, and I would, and so I'm writing a book about it, basically. So yeah, so I'm writing a book. It's called Unzipped: Confessions of a Fast Fashion Addict, and it's about all aspects of clothes, and actually talking about the eating disorder as well, and the psychology of it, because obviously you're looking for the next thing, the shiny thing, you know. So yeah.
Fantastic. So we're at the end of this episode. If people want to find out more about you and your writing, where should they kind of go?
I think they should come by you. Because like I say, I've written one book and this new book, but I'm an author, but I'm not really out in the world at this moment. But please, if people would like to connect, and I would love to chat or whatever, and I'd be interested in people's experiences with fashion, or if they, and actually I'm setting up a support group for women, it doesn't have to be women, but probably who have fast fashion addiction, because I don't think it's really understood, sort of the impact it has, sort of monetary, etc. So yeah, if that's okay, if anyone does want to connect, then if they can do it via you, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Well, what I'll say is through me and Fee, and in comments below, just kind of highlight it, and then we'll put you in touch with each other. That's great.
Perfect.
Thank you, Sharron, so much for sharing about your journey and about your passion and about your writing and about, living authentically, both inside and out, showing it to the outside world. This is me through our clothes and what we wear and how we are, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And thank you to you, dear listener, I was going to say, but the dear person who's been here. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye now.